Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your English Literature live class. We have been doing the story, the three questions, which has been written by Leo Tolstoy. Okay, so let us read further and find out whether the king will be able to get the answers to his questions and who this bearded man is. Right. So turn to page number 143, the last paragraph. When at last the blood stopped flowing, the man revived and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had become cool. So the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. Lying on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. But the king was so tired with his work and with the work he had done that he crouched down on the threshold and also fell asleep so soundly that he slept all through the short summer night. When he awoke in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was, or who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed and gazing intently at him with shining eyes. Now, as you know that the king visited hermit in order to seek the answers to his questions, but instead he looks at the condition. He looks at the hermit, who was very weak and fragile. Okay, so he takes up the spade from his hands and started digging. And then this wounded man, he comes running from the forest. The king attends this man, and now the blood has stopped finally. The blood has stopped flowing finally, and the man who went unconscious, he comes back to conscious. Okay, revived means he comes back to conscious, and then he asks something for drink. So the king provides him with water. And now, since they all were outside and the sun had set, so the atmosphere kind of cooled down. So with the hermit's help, the king, he carries the wounded man inside the hut. He brings him inside the hut, and the wounded man now lay quietly in his place on the bed. And while the king was very tired because he had done so much of work, he helped the hermit to dig up the earth, right? And then he also attended this wounded man. So all this was so much of work for him because he's a king. He was a king, right? So he was so tired that he kneeled down. Crouched means to kneel down. Okay, on the threshold means on the doorstep. So you can just underline crouch and write down kneel, down kneel. Kneel down on the threshold. Threshold underline, write down doorstep or at the entrance of the hut. And then he fell asleep because he was very tired, and he slept so soundly and slept all through the night, right? He started sleeping in the evening and he slept all through the night. And when he woke up in the morning, then he could not, at first he could not recognize that who this man is, and why was and which place was the king was in, right? So all these things he couldn't recall so quickly, but then after that, very soon he recalled all the things, that where he was and who the man was, right? So let us see what happens next. Forgive me, said the bearded man in a weak voice, when he saw the king was awake when he saw that the king was awake and was looking at him. So when the king was awake, what did the bearded man, or what did the wounded man do? He apologized to the king. Why? Let us see. I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you, said the king. Because the king never knew who this man was, so he was quite surprised at why is he apologizing? Why was he apologizing to him? And to that he replied that he didn't know him, and he did not have anything to forgive him for. You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you executed my brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return. So I came out from my ambush to find you, and I came upon your bodyguard, and they recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them, but should have bled to death had you not pressed my wound. I wish to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, and if you wish it, I will serve you as your most faithful slave and will bid my sons to do the same. Forgive me. So here, what happens? That who this bearded man was? He was no other but king's enemy. Okay, what had happened that once. The king had killed this man's brother and confiscated his property. Okay, he took over his property. So this bearded man, he wanted to take revenge from the king, and he was kind of spying on the king. So he knew that the king had gone to visit hermit, right? He was hiding somewhere in the bush, that whenever the king would come back, he would attack on him. Okay, and he would take his revenge from the king. But instead, what happened that he waited so long, the king did not return. Why? Because the king was busy in digging up the earth. So the king, when the king did not return, so he got out of the ambush, and what did he do? He came across his bodyguard, one of the king's bodyguard, and the bodyguard, he recognized this man, and he the bodyguard attacked this man, because of which the other man was injured. He was badly wounded, and he escaped that place. And he again says that although he had escaped that place, but he would have um, bled to death. Okay, he would have succumbed to his injuries, if the king would have not it would have not attended him, if the king would have not dressed him. Okay, so that is why he was feeling very obliged, he was feeling very grateful to the king, he was feeling very thankful to the king, that and he also realized that he came out to kill the king, but instead the king saved his life. So he was very grateful to the king, and in order to show his gratitude, he offered that if the king would want, then the bearded man would love to be his slave, his most faithful slave for the rest of his life, and also he would offer his sons to do the same. But in return, he only wants the king to forgive him, right? So the king was very glad to have made peace with his enemy so easily and to have gained him for a friend. And he not only forgave him, but he, said he would send his servants and his own physician to attend him, and promised to restore his property. So the king was also very happy that okay, there was one enemy of the king who wanted to take his life, but now he has made peace with that enemy, and that too very easily, without any war or anything. Okay, and not only that, the enemy is turned into friend also. Okay, so he promises the wounded man that he would send his own physician, his court physician, to attend him, and he would also give back the property of his brother to that man. Having taken leave of the wounded man, the king went out onto the porch and looked around for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg an answer to the questions he had put. The hermit was outside on his knees, sowing seeds in the bed that had been dug the day before. So what happens that the king had come to seek the answers, but instead what happened that he had to do all these things. He had to nurse this wounded man. So and it also turns out that the man was his enemy who is turned into his friends, and all these things, what all has happened. So now it is time for the king to leave, and before leaving, he wanted to meet the hermit once again, to see the hermit once again, because his purpose of visiting the hermit was still not fulfilled. Okay, he went there to seek the answers, but instead all these things happened. So he had not sought his answers so far. So he wanted to see the hermit in order to ask for the answers once more. And where did he find the king? The hermit was outside. He was there sitting on his knees, and he was now sowing the seeds in the beds which they dug a day before. Um, the king approached him and said, "For the last time, I pray you to answer my questions, wise man." Okay, so now he because why is he saying for the last time? Because now he has given up his hopes that the hermit would help him. So, and it is also the time for him to go. So he begs the hermit for the last time for the answer. "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still crouching on his thin legs and looking up at the king who stood before him. The king tells that you are already been answered. Why are you asking the answers from me now? "How answered? What do you mean?" asked the king. The king did not understand what the hermit is saying. "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug those beds for me, but had gone your way, that man would have attacked you and you would have repented of not having stayed with me. The most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man. And to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when that man ran to us, the most important time was when you were attending to him. For if you had not bound up his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man. And what you did for him was your most important business." So now, when the king asks for the answers for the last time, so the hermit replies that you have already been answered. There is no need to ask for the answers again from me. But the king could not find out that what the hermit was saying and how has he been answered. So then the hermit goes on explaining out to him that. Um, Yes, see, he tells him that when the king came to visit him, okay, and he pitied the hermit's weakness, okay, his weak health, his ill health, his that he was very fragile. He takes up the spade and he wanted to help him. So that was the most important time of his life, okay. And since he was helping the hermit, so the hermit was the most important man in his life, and doing good to the hermit was the most important business for the king at that moment, okay. Because if he had not done all these things, if he had not pitied on the hermit, and he would have only straight away asked for the answers, and if and on not getting the answers, he would have left the hut of the hermit, then he would have been attacked by the wounded man. Then he would have been attacked by the wounded man. Okay. So this is what he said that at that point of time, this the hermit was the most important person of his life, and helping him out was the most important business to do. Next, when that man, wounded man, came running to them, so at that time, the most important time was that when the king was attending to the wounded man, and at that time the wounded man was the most important person, and whatever he did to him, whatever nursing and everything the king did for the wounded man was the best thing to do at that very moment. So what the hermit is trying to tell to the king, that there is no fixed or absolute answer to his questions, that who there can be no one fixed time for anything to do. There can be no one fixed perfect business or perfect work to do. There can be no one the most important person in anybody's life, okay. So these all answers are relative so it depends on the situation in what situation you are in, okay. So he wanted to tell that everything which is there in present is important, okay. Your present moment is the most important moment for you. The person with whom you are the person with whom you are presently is the most important person for you, and the work which you are doing, the good work which you are doing, which you can do for anybody, that is the most important work to do, okay. Doing good to people is the most important work to do. So these are the three answers given by the hermit. So at last, He concludes his answer by saying, remember then, there is only one time that is important, and that time is now. Okay, the present time, the present moment. It is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power. The most necessary man is he with whom you are. For no man knows whether he will ever have dealings with anyone else. And the most important affair is to do him good, because for that purpose alone was the man sent into his life, right? So this is such a beautiful message for not only, it's not only an answer for the king's question, but it is such a beautiful message for all of us, that we should live in the present. Okay, we should enjoy the present, we should make the full use of the present time. So the most important time is the present time, it is now. All right. Because why is it the most important time? Because we have control on the present moment. See, we cannot do anything which has already happened in past. Okay, what's gone is gone, and we cannot do anything which will come in future. Although we can plan it out, but it is not necessary that whatever we have planned, the things are it will get executed as we have thought of, right? So what we can do, when we can perform our action, what time is under our control, it is only the present moment which is under our control. Okay, so that is the most important time in our lives. And the most important or necessary man is the one, is he with whom you are at the moment. Okay, so in the present time, at the moment, the person you are with, you should give your full attention to that person, because you never know, right, whether that person would have any time for you later in life, or we do not know whether we would want to get help from that person in future. So we should be good to people, right? And next is the most important affair, the most important business for us to do, is to do good to the person whom we are with, because that is why the person has come to us, has been sent to us. So if somebody comes to you to seek for your help, just help that person out, because he or she has been sent for you for the same purpose, because God thinks that you will be able to help him out. That is why he has sent that person to you to seek your help, right? These are the three very beautiful messages you people should also apply in your lives. So I hope you people have understood the story. Thank you.